Hello friends, welcome back to Value Vintage Cards. Today I'm going to be sharing the first half, so this is kind of part one. I picked up 12 items recently from my friend Larry. He has a crazy cool collection of just kind of unique pieces. Some cards, some what you'd consider memorabilia, and some that are kind of like in that in-between phase, which is where I feel like I collect mostly. I'm not hardcore, like I don't need baseball gloves, I have one bat, like I don't have a whole lot of autographed balls. I don't really go into like that category quite as much, but any of that stuff in between. So not a card, but still ish, what I tend to call items. That's where I've been really diving in, and that is a lot of what he has. So we connected, we had a deal, I guess it was last year, and I just reached back out to him and said, hey, I'm looking at this thing, and I know you've got one, what do you think's fair on it? And he's like, actually, I'm probably willing to let mine go now if I need to. And I was like, I'm in. So we decided to navigate through another deal. So picked up 12 items. I'm going to break this down. I'm going to show 7 on the next video and 5 on this one, just because of kind of how they fit together, I think. So I'm going to just run through. They're all I think all oversized. I've said I liked oversized. I may have finally met my match on what that means. So I will explain that in part 2. So this one is going to be 5 items that you will see fit on my shelf in my collection absolutely perfectly. And if you collect like I do, these will be items that you enjoy. 1939. So I love that he also has these like printed and on here. So that does 2 things for me. It gives me some education without having to do a lot of research. I think it's always spot on, and some of these are like year ranges, so it gets a little bit tougher, a little fuzzier. But it's very, very helpful to shortcut and do some research. But the other thing is I like having that on there because it's an indicator that it's from, what I might just start calling the Larry collection. And anything from Larry is going to stay with me forever, because anytime I do a deal with a friend, to me that's like a personal transaction. If it's an eBay deal, I could trade it later and have no issue sleeping at night. But when it's from a friend, I just have a different level of appreciation for that item. So let's get kicking. 1939. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Team issue. So it's a Dizzy Dean in his best jersey. I mean, obviously he was best when he was with the Cardinals, but it is cool to see Dizzy Dean in a Cubs jersey. And anything Dizzy Dean is cool. So you can find these, and I think there's a couple on eBay, and what they're worth, I don't know. I'd have to try and pull solds. And the other thing I really love is, not all, but a pretty vast majority of things that Larry has is not graded. So for me, that gives me another, kind of commonality and appreciation for how he collects. So I'm not just swapping slabs with somebody. It's a lot more of a personal collection feel. So that is the 39 Dizzy Dean. Next up is a 36 Wheaties. I will say with Wheaties, I generally don't quite remember. I know they're all like mid to late 30s. And there's so many different series and sets to this that I still need to educate myself a little bit more. I know there's differences. I think some of them are better than others, but really any of them I'll take. And this is one that I did not have, but a player that I absolutely enjoy. It's Jimmy Fox. I think one of the neatest things of these, when you look at these panels, and check that out, they tell you like how to play baseball. Like, that's just so cool. And then the image of Jimmy Fox, of course, is top notch. And we've been talking Wheaties for a bit here, but I mean, these things go for 50 to 100 bucks probably. I don't know. Pretty phenomenal. Next up's another player I collect. So that's another. There's another thing. When I look at what he has, There's some players that are, unique to his experience and geography and whatever else, but for the most part, I'm like, man, the next player I show in the next video, you'll be like, all right, why the heck does he even have that? But I appreciate he's sharing some of his finds with me, and they get to be homed with me for the next several decades. Obviously, Warren Spahn, any of these little offshoot, kind of promotion, spokesperson kind of things are phenomenal. The images are wonderful. I absolutely love these. So McGregor, Wilson, a lot of these, promo brands where they're kind of sponsoring. A lot of times it's sporting equipment, sometimes it's clothes, sometimes it's a lot of smoking advertising going on back then. But McGregor obviously would be sports equipment. This next one is right on that same line. And these last two, are just blown away. This, because of what it is, this is one of my favorite items of this player. Probably, he's a player I collect fairly significantly. I wouldn't say he's, somebody I feature a lot, but some of my friends from Cleveland will appreciate this. How fun is that? And I don't even know. Some of these things, like, they're off the radar. It's not like I'm searching for Bob Feller advertising bicycles. But 1951, was that Roadmaster? I don't know how readily available these are, but to see Bob Feller riding a bike, I'm like, that's super cool. Absolutely love that item, so I had to jump in and try to get that one. Yeah, I just think that's so neat. This last one is actually the reason I contacted him. There's one right now on eBay. It says it's autographed, but it's not verified, so if it's an authentic autograph, it's pretty cool, and maybe it's a fair price, I don't know. If it's not, then it's been defaced by somebody pretending to write someone's name on it, so I tend to be cautious with those. It wasn't autographed in person. It's too, well, I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be too old, but it's such a scarce item. If you're going to get it, I want it to be clean. So he had one. I'd asked him for it last time we did a deal, and he's like, I'm not ready to give that thing up. That took years to find. And like, yeah, I get it. I wouldn't give it up either. But here's what it is. And I just thought that was the neatest thing. He labeled it as 1956. That could be accurate. When I've researched these, I don't know if there's necessarily an exact year, or maybe they were issued even later. But the two players on it is Minnie Minoso and Larry Doby. And they did switch teams not too long after that. So getting both of them in a White Sox uniform, again, super cool. At the exact same time, there's only so many years they would have been together. So I think 1956 is probably a pretty fair assessment. Online, it's tough to tell, and there's just not enough of these out there. Look how cool that is. So they're advertising. Every time I show this, people are like, is that lunch boxes or coolers? Like, what are they doing? It's radios. Isn't that cool? To me, that's next level awesome. I love that. So that's the kind of stuff I added. So that's 5 out of the 12. We'll just title these "Thank You, Larry." Absolutely phenomenal. These will be treasures in my collection forever. Never leaving. So I just appreciate the community and the friendship and the opportunity to have some pieces from some of my great collecting friends, and Larry's definitely one of them, to be able to, grow my collection in a way that is more meaningful than just cool items and, a few dollars. So much appreciated. Part 2 coming soon. See you guys on the next one.